This thing is a multi-block structure. And when you hold out the modern industrialization wrench, I don't know if it works with any other wrench. Oh, shoot, it does. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to some more FTB Skies 2. Today, we are going to be starting up our modern industrialization quest line. Now, modern industrialization is a very interesting tech mod where we start off by getting steam-powered machinery, and our main goal is to get like quantum-powered machinery. It's a very all-over-the-place kind of tech mod, but it's very endearing, especially when you don't have just it. It can be a bit painful, but we don't have just it. We have multiple things to work with. So, to start up the mod, we needed a forge hammer. Now, I had gotten this a long time ago because the forge hammer's job is to actually help to break down several different things into multiple things. Actually, the first thing I used it for was the sawdust to help me get a cardboard box. That's funny that that's the first thing on the list. So, after that, the next thing that we're going to need to get from this is just going to be to carve these things out with this forge hammer. All from copper, so I'm going to need a bit of that, actually. Now, while I am getting this copper, I do want to give a forewarning. My computer has been acting up a bit, so things could end up actually getting very weird or laggy at random points. I don't know what's going on with it, but it's deciding to be funky. Where did I put my forge? Oh, right. I put it on the new island. The really big island. This is for modern industrialization. Did I make it a bit too big? Maybe. I believe it actually might be a little bit bigger than the main island. Heck, I haven't even finished putting down all the smooth basalt. Like, look at this. This is all I've managed to get. Okay, I lowered my render distance, so hopefully things should work out. So, we can go ahead and get the next thing on the quest line, which is bronze, which we're gonna need a good bit of. And then these guys over here are just some checkables, which do get us some useful things. But for right now, the next thing that we need to focus on is our first machine from this mod, the bronze boiler. Now, the bronze boiler is exactly what it sounds like. It is something to create boiled water, also known as steam. I don't know why I said boiled water. Have you been using your boiled water engines today? Oh my gosh, and actually a lot of those pressure plates and stuff are just more of just me crushing things in this. Yeah, that's, you know, I'm just gonna turn it all into this, and we're gonna need a lot of it. A lot of this is going to be repeated processing. So I'm gonna skip a lot of that. So it's like, you know, we need glass, we already know how to get all that. All of this we really know how to get, except this fire clay. Now there's two ways for me to get him. One is the annoying way, which is clay and crushed bricks, which I could just get from crushing that down. That's not as good though, because there is actually another fire brick that we can actually get from Productive Metalworks, which is actually a lot better for me to get. And I can just go ahead and use the stone cutter to get that. And actually, I believe I should have some of that left over. It might be enough. Oh my goodness, that's exactly enough for the thing we need. That is awesome. Alrighty, so we got that. So now I just need to grab everything else for this.
5 minutes later.
Alright, I got the things we need, and this is actually where this quest rewards would normally help us. Where what we can do is we can just put our water source here, and then connect these two by these pipes. And then what happens is I click on one end. Now we've got that one going there. We click on this end. Is that a... You go away. We click on this end, and you can see nothing's really happening. That's because you can see right here there's these arrows, which we can then adjust to be able to pull the water from this. So now we got the water in here. And that's what we would do with these modern industrialization pipes. I'm not going to use the modern industrialization pipes and cables much, though. I'm really only going to use them whenever they're prevalent. But here we go. Now this is starting to boil, which should start getting us the steam. It has to get up to heat, though. This does a very weird and specific thing where it has to be at a specific heat for this to start generating. But there we go. It's gotten up to heat, and now it's starting to generate our steam. So there we go. Now the steam is in here, and it is ready for us to start utilizing it in our different machines. All of these machines are going to use a bunch of the things that we've already made. It's going to use more of these gears, apparently, which are just made up of more of the things we get in the hammers, just more of all the stuff that we already have. So I can actually go ahead and assemble a lot of these things off screen. It's just gonna be a lot of the same stuff before.
Later.
Alrighty, I got the machines all ready and raring. I didn't do these top two because these ones aren't really going to be of use to me.
Are you sure about that?
I already have things that kind of take those machines places elsewhere, so I'm not gonna do those. But these guys are going to help me because these are actually required for certain things I'm going to need down the line. So from the left, we have here the cutting machine. This machine is actually going to help me get certain like rods and stuff, because in a lot of these things, actually I kind of removed some of the stuff from the quest line. Actually over here, yeah, like steel bolts and steel rods. These guys, while I can make them in other places, this is kind of a better way for me to kind of automate them. This thing does require a certain thing called lubricant, however. One way that we can get it, and actually the only way we could really get it anytime soon, would be with mixing creosote oil and redstone in our next machine over here called the mixer. This is just another crafting thing. It helps us mix fluids and or items together to be able to get more fluids or more items. It's just another thing. The compressor is kind of the other half to the cutting machine, where both of these basically split up what the forge hammer can do. It's just that these guys would be more ways for me to kind of automate it and or reduce the cost in some way. Now, since I'm adding more machines, and as I said with this one, if I want to get more lubricant, I'm gonna need creosote oil, which means there's something else I'm gonna need to make, which means I'm gonna need more steam. So we can go ahead and use, there we go. We used a steel upgrade right here to turn this into a steel boiler. And this thing helps us to get even more steam faster. We can do this on all of our other machinery, but since I'm not really going to be using the steam age for beyond this video, I am going to leave that be. So, as I said, we're going to need creosote oil. For us to get that, we're going to need this thing called the coke oven. It is literally just a bunch of bricks and a furnace and more of these bronze casings, which you've already gotten, to be able to get those mixed with hoppers. I can get all that very easily.
1 minute later.
All right, I got everything ready for this, and the reason why I've already put this little stuff here is because I want to show you something cool. This thing is a multi-block structure, and when you hold out the modern industrialization wrench, I don't know if it works with any other wrench. Oh, shoot, it does. Oh, that's actually really cool. Well, the central block, as long as it is placed down, will show you where everything else needs to be in orientation with the current location of the central block. So say I had put this one down here, those brick blocks would have appeared down there because this thing needs to be up here in the middle. I do not know if the fluid input is also the place where we need to put this steam. I'm just gonna go ahead and put these here because we are gonna want fluid inputs and outputs. And then for the rest of this, we're just gonna need to go ahead and then put in bricks. Now, this does need to be a bit of a hollow structure, so we do not actually want that top one to be, well, not the top one, but that central block in there to be put with anything. So then we can just go ahead and put that there, and we don't need to activate it at all. It is just flat out ready. I might need another fluid input. Wait a minute. No. I'm thinking of something else. Never mind. Ignore me. So there we go. We got this thing ready. So this central block will show us that this thing is working, but that's not actually where we put anything. Where we put things is in this item input. So now this should show us that this is working. Okay, I figured out what was wrong. I can't use charcoal. There we go. So yeah, once that thing reaches 100%, we will then get ourselves a coal coke gem, and out here in our output, some creosote oil, which is what we're gonna need for making that lubricant inside of this mixer. So that would be that whole thing, which I can get all automated later on. Really, the reason why I want this in terms of questline purposes, though, is actually for the coal coke, because for some reason we've actually got that down there. Wait, it says it's optional though. But I've run into this problem before. I'll figure that out later. But either way, we're gonna need that for that quest so that way we can continue on, because the next thing we're gonna need is synthetic rubber. Now, synthetic rubber can be made in one of two ways. One with raw synthetic oil or crude oil, which for those of you who'd seen past episodes know, I did bring it up. I never actually showed it, but I did make a laser drill off somewhere who is making the crude oil. So after that, we're just gonna now need to make ourselves another big machine, which is the steam blast furnace, which is just more of these fire clay bricks and this time a blast furnace, as well as more of the input and output hatches.
You get the idea.
Alrighty, and here it is, our steam blast furnace. Now, what's interesting about this one is I actually didn't need to top off the top of it, but I am actually going to need 2 of the fluid inputs for this one, because this is what I was thinking of with this one, where one of them would need to be for the steam, and the other would be needed for fluid inputs that would then later on become outputs. In this case, which would be either the raw synthetic oil or the crude oil, which we can get in both cases. So since I already have crude oil and I really don't have a use for making more of this than I'm going to need, I can just go ahead and put this into here, and then this is going to start burning it very fast, and that is going to then get us our synthetic oil. So now what we would do with that one is, I believe this goes over to the mixer, so that way we can then make ourselves some rubber. Now this is where this gets a little confusing, because if I go over to the recipe for rubber in here, there's 2 of them. One that gives me 2 rubber, one that gives me 12. And both are exactly the same. I'm not seeing a difference. 100 millibuckets of synthetic oil, 100 millibuckets of synthetic oil, 1 paper sheet. I think it might be that it just has a chance of getting me either or. I don't really know, but yeah, there we go. Now we've got ourselves our rubber. Oh, and that completed both of those quest lines. Yeah, right, because that was part of this one in the last video where I automated the mechanism so I could get these guys easier. Because when it comes to this next thing, the circuits, there's a whole lot of automations and stuff that one would need to do. But I've basically circumvented all of that thanks to other automations. I still have a bit of synthetic oil left in there. I'm not sure if I'm gonna need it or how much I'm gonna need it, but this already gives me some more rubber to work with, which I am going to need when it comes to these other quests. Actually, I might not need to do those. Wait, really? Wait, because this quest line is already unlocked. Are these optional? It doesn't say they're optional, but this quest line is unlocked. Well, we can't make this one ending off the base quest for this part here, because we are missing a certain thing to get this, which is the battery alloy, to be able to make these batteries. For us to get that, it isn't that hard, it's just an alloy, but we need a certain metal that we cannot get normally. And that is where the next big structure of this is going to come into play. The main thing I really wanted to get to with all this, which I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to, but I am, a quarry. For that, though, we are going to need steel. And that is actually another thing that we can get from this steam blast furnace, is that this is actually another way, which is apparently not with this, but this is another way we can actually start getting steel. If we go ahead and go over to here, we can actually start getting it from this uncooked steel dust, which we can just get by mixing iron and coke dust. Of course, I don't really need that way to get steel, but it is one way I can do it, and I'm gonna need a lot of it for this. So, here's what we're gonna need. We're gonna need steel machine, which is basically the same as all the stuff we've done before. It's just instead of copper or bronze, I believe it is, we're just doing that. Then we're gonna need this thing, which is just a mix of Invar, which is another alloy I'd gotten in the past. I believe that's just a mix of iron and nickel. Yes, it is, with some diamond dust, and just, again, more of the same. So, I will get all that. Actually, item pipes are quest rewards, so we can do that. I'm gonna get all this. That should give me the rest of the stuff we're gonna need for that. And then, we're gonna make ourselves a quarry.
Much later.
Here it is. The steam quarry. All powered and ready to go. And you might be wondering how I'm actually powering this. Well, I actually found these things called facades, which can actually cover up the pipes from the pipes mod. So now I can just go ahead and bring these all around the place with steam if I need to, and it won't be a problem. And eventually I will be able to upgrade this to a electric quarry anyways, so it won't be that big of a problem for a while. But for this thing to work, we do also need this stuff called a bronze drill. It's a little annoying to get more, so hopefully these will be fine because they will always have a chance. I don't know how big chance, but an annoyingly big chance, no matter how big it is. Honestly, even a 1% chance is still annoying, of this stuff actually breaking in here. But ideally, we should be able to get our battery alloy out of this. Not the battery alloy, but the, what's it called? The antimony out of this. All we need to do is just go over here. I want this to auto-eject into this chest, which then, once this works, we'll set it out. And there we go! We've gotten our antimony. It does only have a 14% chance in relative to everything else. And we're gonna need a few of these. So far, I haven't lost a drill yet, though, so that is gonna be good. I will most definitely have to automate making more of these. I'm gonna automate all of this. Don't worry. I'm not going to make the same mistake I did back in Neotech where it was just this stuff. I have easier ways to be able to automate things, and I absolutely will be doing those. So all I need to do now is just wait for me to be able to get more of that antimony. That way I can then make these battery alloys, and then I can just go ahead and make myself these batteries with just a lot more of the same stuff. All of this is really just more craftings. These guys with these robotic arms and robot pieces, all just more craftings of things that I can do, but at the same time, it's just more crafting, so really there's no point. So with that, all that is left for us to do now is open up today's chance cube. Yes, it is that part of the show where I open up a chance cube, risking my entire series for all of your entertainment. Let's see what happens. Chance cubes are so 2017. Here's some advantageous boxes instead. Warning, it is recommended you don't open these in or next to your vase. Oh. Well then. Let's open up our advantageous cube. What was that? It just made a freaking gas sound. Oh my gosh. Okay. Advantageous cube number 2. Time to farm. Okay. Gosh, dude. It scared the crap out of me, man. Oh my gosh. Did you like this video? Good. Be sure to check out our last FTB Skies 2 video where we automated our mechanism circuits. Bye-bye!